Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blissful Living Podcast. This is the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochel Marie Lawson, and I have a phenomenal show for you today. So, I like to cover wellness, wisdom, and wealth topics. And if you are a woman entrepreneur or an entrepreneur in general, males included, then you definitely want to listen to this show. And I'm going to say right now, find a place to sit, grab something to write with so you can take notes. Get your favorite beverage. I'm happy to be drinking some Arizona green tea, and tell your family to give you a few moments so you can absorb this information, because we're talking about building new lanes of economic opportunity today with my guest. So that's just a little tickler. Also, if you like the show, subscribe to the show and share the show with everyone you love and care about, because the more we can get this information out, the better it is for all of us. And since I am really all about making sure that we create generational wealth so that we can leave a legacy of financial stability and abundance for our family lineage, then it just goes to my heart and soul to be able to have guests on the show like I'm going to bring to you today, that can share this wisdom with us, all of us, so we can do just what I'm saying. So let me thank our sponsors, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. They have a special going on right now called the 21-day Blissful Cleanse. So if you're looking to get your body tight for summer, then you might want to go check that 21-day Blissful Cleanse out. And you, again, can check them out at www.blissfulliving, the number 4, the letter U.com. The next guest the next sponsor that I want to bring up into your mindset is All Day Cable Incorporated. All Day Cable Incorporated is a premier telecommunications installation company located in the heart of Silicon Valley, and they specialize in network distribution. So all of your voice, data, fiber optic cable installation, your modems, your routers, your wireless access point, audio, video, speaker, whatever you need so that you can make the connection with your customer on the other end right the first time, then you definitely want to check out All Day Cable. They service small, medium, and very large corporations, and you can check them out at www.alldaykableinc.com. All right, so you've had time to get a place to sit, got something to write with, got your favorite beverage, told your family to give you a few moments. If you not need to light some incense or a candle just to get in this vibe of being able to receive the wisdom, then I suggest you do that as well, because today's guest is Shawntera M. Hardy, and she can be found working at the intersection of inclusive economic technology and public policy. During her portfolio and pivoting career, Shawntera has built 4 companies: Amethyst Advisory Group. Ooh, I like that. That's my birthstone. Pearl and Fearless Commerce, and Certified Access. And she's led high profile organization in both the public and private sector, and has managed many complex projects. I don't know what is going on with my tongue today. I'm just not flowing right, y'all. Anyways, as the one who thrives off of connecting people, policies, and processes, she is always up for getting back on the balcony to explore possibilities. I love that. It's what a bold, unstoppable woman does. Leveraging her expertise in influence, negotiation, and organizational change, she propels leaders to move beyond proclamations and positions to advance sustained cultural change. She has a track record of finding ways to create collaborative, multidisciplinary approaches to some of the most intricate challenges facing our communities today. And so, as I said, we're going to be talking about building new lanes of economic opportunity with the fabulous Shawntera M. Hardy. Welcome to the show, girl. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I am so excited to have this conversation with you.
Well, I am so excited to have you because, as you know, you were instrumental in helping me to go through a process with my business recently, and still waiting. They've been requesting some information over the last couple of days that I've sent to them. So, we're still in the process with that. But you made it so streamlined and so easy, because back in the day, I want to say in late 1998, 99, when I was going through my 8A certification for my business and some other certification, minority, small disadvantaged business, minority owned business, such and such. And I didn't have any access to anybody that was willing to share the information and actually educate me on the process, like you and your company, your fellow colleagues at your company did. And two, that actually really knew the ins and out and the intricacies of what needed to be done and where it needed to be done and how it needed to be done, or even provide examples. So it was just amazing to have that experience with these. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
And
welcome. You're welcome.
you all need to pay attention. So I want to jump in. So as a woman entrepreneur, it's multi-woman entrepreneur, what would you say, or what would you tell our audience as regards to what are the best strategies for driving economic growth? Because I think sometimes there's a misconception. There's lots of misconceptions out there, and particularly for us women business owners. So can you share some wisdom on that?
First, again, thank you for having me in this conversation. For such a time as this, as we are in so many shifts in our world, focusing on how do we take ownership of building our economic future, I'm always up for that conversation. One of the things that I've learned when it comes to driving economic change is being committed to the journey. And so, how do you position your organization, for profit, nonprofit, to actually have a business model, a revenue model that's going to position you to grow and scale and move to that next level? So, the intentionality starts with how you start and how you position the type of customers that you want to go after, and then just your openness to continue to be in a season of innovation. Because with all these shifts that are happening, before the pandemic, one of the amazing authors that I follow and that's focused on, and one of the things that I do in my advisory firm is crisis management. Is they mentioned that we would have never thought on January of 2020 that over 1 million kids would be learning on a computer. We would have thought they were crazy. And 3 months later, that happened. And folks had to innovate and folks had to be ready. And so, how do you make sure that you create this space of innovation? How do you make sure that you also have diversity when it comes to your revenue streams? And I think that's something that's very important not only when it comes to your customer base, but also your capital stack. Being thoughtful about how what you talked about with my company, Certified Access, helping you obtain your certification again. How do you make sure you're thinking about those different capital streams to ensure that you understand? And it's not just traditional going after a loan, or folks have the wherewithal to go after venture, but there's also government in terms of grants. There's also alternative revenue sources, being open and creating that space for continuous learning as you develop your growth strategy. So it is a combination of innovation and diversity, that different side of equity. It's not just, being included, but that other side of equity of actually getting the return on that investment that you put in.
So let me ask you this. How do anyone go about finding these alternative ways to, work your business, so to speak? For instance, alternative ways to capital. How do people go about finding it? Because this information, even though it's out there, it's not out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Right,
kind of
right.
hidden. You gotta have somebody that's knowledgeable that can pass information on. First of all, be connected. One, I say connections are so doggone powerful, because if you don't know something, if you connected to the right people, one of the people you connected to will know what you need to do and how to get to it, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
But how do people, just ordinary business owners that are maybe 1 to 5 years in business, even find out about these opportunities that you're talking about?
One of the things, so I'll start with the foundation of what you said around having connections. An amazing business owner that I look up to, Phyllis Newhouse, always talks about rocks, your resource, opportunities, and connections. And we all have a responsibility to pass a rock each and every day. And then in turn, someone will pass a rock to us. And in order to be in position to get your rock, you need to be in position. And so, as a business owner, building with your head down all the time does not allow for you to be in the room to receive. And so I tell folks, it's starting with your industry. How do you make sure that you are up on where are they meeting at, online and in person? And
Mhm.
then if you have business associations in your community, peeking in to see who's in there, because those financial institutions are looking to be in those spaces too, because they need the customers. And then from a community ground based perspective, your chambers, your black chambers, your business associations, any other ethnic chambers, your CDFIs, those community development organizations, those are alternative capital
Mhm.
funders. One organization that I'm really excited about, and their CEO is I think she's 7-time founder, amazing Black woman, her name is Kim Folson, is Founders First Capital. They provide alternative capital. They're based in California, but Kim is relentless, not to make you think about your different capital stack. And she has this mission that's focused on ensuring that smaller companies, especially companies based in under-resourced communities, understand how do you get access to that. So it's being willing to lift your head up as you build and be in these spaces, and then tapping into these different ecosystems to show up, to understand, who funding you, who do you know? Like, you got to ask the question, and making sure you're taking advantage of the resources that come from your state and local government related to business development, and, getting connected to your economic development agency in your city. And so there's a number of things. So I tell business owners, you know, there's a time to work on your back office, there's a time to work on your product and service, and there's a time to work on your business
Right.
development. And how do you make sure that you carve out those times to ensure that you can do the work? And it changes. Even if you grow with a team, your role in those 3 areas still exists. It just
Right.
might be at a lower level, but your role exists to continue to allow for you to be able to continue to grow.
That's so true. Again, going back to the community and the connections. When I was with the first business, I got to a community. Like, I hadn't been in any communities. I'm just rolling and hustling, in my own little bubble, so to speak. When I got to this community, the community opened up so much information that I didn't even know existed. And this is before the internet. So I'm going to say 1998, 1999, maybe 2000, right?
Hmm.
And I thought, had I not even thought to be vulnerable enough to go out and expose myself, right,
Yes.
and my business, I would have never been able to get the information that allowed me to, one, scale up my business, and two, take my business to becoming a top 50 women owned business in Silicon Valley,
Come on, come on, come
right?
on. Say
And
it
so,
again. Stop.
you so anyway, but it was the community and the
Yeah.
connections and being able to develop those deep relationships where they felt I was a bona fide business, for one.
Hmm.
Two, they trusted my wisdom in receiving the wisdom that they were sharing with me. And
Absolutely.
three, there were people that they put me in connection to where the company was able to do collaborative projects that operated another source of income coming in, another stream of income coming into the company. So that I just, I don't think people understand the value of that. in our communities, when you're in the right communities, you get access to the president of Women's Presidents Organization. You get access to ladies like Betty Hines of, Women
Yes.
Elevating
Women
Women.
helping women. Yes.
Being in those
Yes.
organizations allowed me to connect with you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think as particularly African American women coming up as entrepreneurs, we cannot be ashamed or vulnerable to put ourselves out there, because when you do that, you actually circumvent your growth and you hold yourself back. And so I
Absolutely.
just think that, as two ladies with multiple businesses, we share that information so that we give people, others out there that may be on the precipice, give them the courage to take that blind step forward
Yeah.
and trust that the community is going to help them elevate. Okay, so now, how do you build an impactful company in the midst of disruption? We saw so much of that when COVID appeared. So what are your thoughts on that?
I have good news and bad news that we, for now and forevermore, will be building in disruption. The good news is that for now and forevermore, we will be building in disruption. We're built for this. We did it. We've done it already. And so, one of the things that I tell my clients, there's this readiness. How do you ensure that you are taking time to ask the what if question? What if this is going to occur? And how do you create that environment where you have this resilience built in to your your KPIs, your key performance indicators? How do you make sure you build it into your strategy? And how do you make sure you build it into whatever your product and service is, that you understand what's happening in your industry? As I said, like, gone are the days where you can build with your head down. A lot of never became now, and it continues to become now. And so this turbulence, this disruption that's happening is literally every single day. Like, you wake up and you like you're on this roller coaster, you just hold on, you're like, okay,
What happened today? What's
what's
going to
gonna
happen
happen?
while I was sleeping, right? Yeah.
Listen, what happened when I was sleeping, and how do I make sure I'm prepared? And so there's this readiness mindset, and then it's not a state of fear.
Right.
It's what you said, building a bona fide company. You know your stuff. You're building a viable company that you want to last. And so that doesn't go away if you building in that way. But this level of readiness and really position yourself to answer the call, because folks could be like, all I got to handle what's in the boardroom. I ain't got to worry about that. But the block then came up in the boardroom. Whatever's happening in the neighborhoods is in your boardroom.
Right.
Because guess what? Your team members, your customers are whole humans.
Right.
And so you understanding that every time your brand opens its mouth, it has a voice and it's saying something. And we're in this environment that you may say something that completely ostracizes one part of your customer base. But you have to know that, and you have to lead with that. And you got to be, there's this testing daily of your risk tolerance. Like, what am I willing to move out there and do? Because either I can see the big break on getting this product and service to the next level, or I can see this big break in me standing up to be a leader in my community that needs me to have a stronger and louder voice. But there is this risk meter that you have to connect yourself with every single day. And that is going to matter to the longevity of your organization being able to survive.
That's wonderful information, because my business experienced that 3 distinct times. First time was in Silicon Valley. There was this huge influx of .com companies evolving. And so there was just, girl, you could walk out and get hit in the head with a bunch of company. Just money being printed like nobody's, but there was
you
no
idea. You just have cat memes. Like, I just got a cat meme company, and they're like, here's $5 million.
Throwing money at you, right? But then the .com had a bust, completely collapsed. So, there are people that had depended upon that, business owners I knew that had depended on that Loctite into that revenue, because it was, like I said, you just print money. When that bust happened, they didn't have a plan for a disruption. Now, you couldn't foresee that type of disruption, but they didn't have a plan for that. I'm gonna be truthful. I didn't either, because I was, young.
You riding the wave. You riding the wave.
Or something like that. But I saw an opportunity, because all those companies that were .com companies were building designing their offices, these luxury offices with the highest, greatest, telecom stuff. When they bust, somebody had to go out in there and pull that telecom stuff out, and to be able to resell that cable back to the supplier, right? I saw that opportunity, and I'm like, well, yeah, some of our customers were that, but our whole basket of fruit wasn't in that one basket. And so we were able to accelerate the growth of the business just because I said, hey, you know what? Let's connect these people, and let's reach out and get let's pull this cable out. And they're like, oh yeah, we didn't even think of that. Okay, that's one. Two is the real estate fiasco. Again, connected to not just residential, but commercial real estate as well. In California, it was, again, you walk out the store, you can get hit in the head with something, right? But when that crashed, it was detrimental to the economy of the state. But again, saw another opportunity, whereas, okay, because I had experienced a disruption with the .com, now it was like, you got to be prepared, okay? And then the third one, COVID. I know so many companies that were in business, I want to say 2010, 14, 15, 16, that are no longer in business after COVID because they couldn't plan. And here I have my particular telecom company is, we interface with customers. One of our largest group of customers are financial institutions. When the COVID, you couldn't go into a bank.
You couldn't go into a bank. Yeah.
The work, the projects that we were doing was limited access, but we figured out a way to do it and survive. So being prepared for the disruptions, I think, is key to building and having a sustainable business where you can building wealth on top of that sustainability. But I don't think a lot of people take that in hand. And thank you for talking about that, because I think it's important as an entrepreneur that you start thinking of what's the worst case scenario that could happen to my business,
or the best case scenario in your case. The worst case happened outside your doors, but the best case happened inside. And see, let's also make it know that one of the things that we know about crisis on the other side is opportunity. And so how do you make sure you're walking in that mindset that you're positioning yourself for the opportunity? But that takes a muscle of being present with what's happening, having the information, pausing. I call it especially as Black women, we don't get the time to tinker in our garage. I want more people tinkering in their garage, okay? And be thinking about that next idea. So let's get a spirit of tinkering, so that when something happened, you had 5 ideas on a shelf, and you was just waiting for that moment that I needed to pull that off the shelf.
Yeah.
That's how we got Instagram, because somebody was tinkering. Yeah. It wasn't a business model. Let's be thoughtful about that.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. See, it's just amazing what's coming out of this beautiful conversation. I love it. I want to ask you now this, because I think this is one of the things that kind of brought us together. And so with regards to government and corporations via certification to scale your company, first of all, what are the processes? What do people need to have in hand to be ready? And then how can they utilize that in the aspect of large corporations and government institutions where they can scale their businesses?
Absolutely. So in partnership with 2 amazing co-founders, Camille Thomas and Shawntera, I started Certified Access. And funny enough, we started it right before COVID, tinkering around what other lane of opportunity are we not tapping. In my past life, I was a part of our governor's cabinet and was responsible for economic development. And I saw, when we looked at our numbers, women, especially women of color, were not at all getting contracts with the state. And one of the things that we learn is the golden ticket, meaning they had to be certified on someone's list in someone's supplier diversity pipeline. We weren't there. And so we had that in the back of our mind. And then during the midst of COVID, we said, let's have a month of learning. And we opened the door to government certification, WeBank certification, and also the National Minority Supplier Council certification. That we were like, let's just teach people about it. And it was like the floodgates open. And there was an assumption that people didn't have awareness of the actual certification, but also the actual process, to your point of what happens after you get certified. And so we created this space. And Certified Access is a supplier development company. Let me be clear about that. We want to make sure that we are a part of providing a tool in the toolbox for folks to build competitive businesses, to be a supplier to government and corporations. And so that process in and of itself is daunting. You know it. Like you said, they want your cousin, they want your cousin's baby, like all the paperwork, and that is when we stop. Because you know what, the precious thing that we starve from is time. And to carve out time to collect all that paperwork that they want is something that we don't have the luxury of. And that was something that we zeroed in on. We were like, we can do all these things, we can have all these webinars, but if we carve out dedicated time, right now we've mastered it down to 4 weeks, once a week for 2 hours, 4 weeks, that we're going to walk you through to gather the paperwork, answer the questions. Game changer. Folks actually were able to hit submit on the other side, because some folks had started applications years and went back, applications lost because they only give you a certain amount of time to keep it in there. And so our work was really focused on how do we open the doors to folks navigating the certification process, getting them on the other side. And then our aftercare is how do we position you to have a understanding of your capability statement that you need to do business with government corporation, how to develop your proposal to respond to an RFP, a request for a proposal, how to build the relationships with government and corporations. Because I think that's where it starts. Because folks are like, I got certified and I don't know how to do it. It's the same as business development. You need to get to know that that buyer at that government and that corporation. You need to get in the rooms with them. You need to go to some of these fairs, position yourself to be a supplier of choice. And that's a whole nother business development strategy when it comes to certification. It's not just, I got certification, it's all going to come to me, because it's RFPs flying around. It's intentional work. It is work. It is actually driving business development. And that's something we don't say certification is for everyone. And 2, we don't say it's easy, because it's focused on making sure that government and corporation can work with who they want to work with. But we want to make sure that we advance the amount of folks that are able to get in the pipeline and be positioned at every level of government, and from whatever targeted veteran, woman-owned, minority-owned, disadvantaged business to get access.
I love it. And I can attest that it is 4 weeks. It is very tight and concise, very patient. And Shawntera and her team are very, very, very patient. They walk you through each and every step to make sure you have the documentation needed prior to submitting. Also, I had an issue with my NAICS code. No, not my NAICS code, my cage code being expired. And she had a contact, again, community. Okay.
Community.
We had a contact that was able to assist me with the process, and it was a 10 years process. So check this out. Shawntera had a contact that I reached out to that was helping me to get my cage code reactivated, because it had became an inactivated status. He didn't know exactly what was going on because we couldn't figure it out together. So he had a contact that was able to help us do everything we needed to do to submit the request to get it reactivated. But it was funny because had I not been a part of this and I would have came up to this issue, I would have just given up because I wouldn't have been able to
Yes.
know what to do, and I wouldn't have been able to find
Yes.
anybody that had a contact that could,
Yes.
you know. So that's the power of community. And so, okay, since we talked about certified access and the whole once you have the certification, you can't just sit there and look pretty thinking somebody gonna come to you.
Because they ain't doing that.
And they're not doing that. So you got to market yourself as if you're out there hustling and grinding, as I like to say. But it does give you a second look when you have that certification and you have your
It does.
statement and you've been out networking and mingling people and dropping your name and your card and your info and seeing these people at multiple events because you're out there marketing and being the CEO of your business. You're working on your business and not in your business, so to speak.
Ooh, say that for the people in the back, because
girl, working on your business and not in your business. If you can find somebody that can do what you do, that's in your business, that's taking time from you working
that's awesome.
on your business, pay that person because your hourly rate should be, as a business owner, triple, quadruple, 10 times the amount of what you're paying somebody to do that's taking time away from you to really scale and really get visibility for your business. People can look at your business and know all day long, but when they have a face to connect with the name that they see constantly, it solidifies it in the mind. So when they start thinking about people that do what you do, you'll pop up.
Because you're present. You're present. You've shown up in these spaces to build these relationships. So when they're like, "Oh, I need someone in the telecommunication," let me call her. Let me call her. So,
and it just those benefits. She happens to be certified, a woman
bam,
certified.
bam. It's a win-win because I can write that on my report that I not only found her, she's certified.
Exactly.
So.
Bam. Okay, girl. Let me. We are at time.
Look
Okay,
at
I
us.
want to ask you one last question.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
this is how do we create opportunity for Black women business owners that we just currently either don't see, don't know how to get access to, things of that nature?
I've been blessed that I have had the opportunity to work in every sector across multiple industries. And one of the things that is so important to me is if I got the knowledge, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna give you the know-how so that we can both increase our net worth. And that for me is the most important. And the willingness to being, I think you said it very clearly earlier. There's a vulnerability of opening up, to say where you are and what you need. And also being willing on the other side to someone to be open to say either I got it or I help you find somebody else. And I think that's that intentional investment that we need to do more of. There is power in collective growth. There is power in ensuring that folks don't have to, scramble in the dark when you have a piece of the light that you can shine on a process, shine on a relationship. And I think that's the piece that is powerful when it comes to platforms like you've created to be able to open the door for folks to learn and be exposed and to get access. Because in the end, there is a return when you are able to do that intentional investment. You're going to get it. I believe it. I believe it. And I have seen it in my life over and over again. Just the number of folks that I can point to that I can say, but for that connection, that individual is a millionaire. Like I can that's a sentence that I can confidently say, and I'm in that connection had it. And I think that is something that's very beautiful. And you said this earlier in your setup It's about leaving a legacy. And in order to leave a legacy, there becomes this place of generational wealth and investment. And that comes with actually having the wherewithal to position yourself to be great. So invest in other people.
I love it. Mic drop to close the show. Thank you, Shawntera.
You're
How can people
welcome.
get more about, where can they find you, connect with you? It will be in the show notes, but I want to give you an opportunity to let people know what it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I am a fair weather social media queen, but you can find me on LinkedIn at Shantera Hardy. With respect to our company, certifiedaccess.co, we are on summer break, but we'll be looking to offer our academy to folks looking to be certified. And then my other companies, because I'd be remiss if you are looking to get your head up and see what's happening in the world in public policy. My company, Plural, you can go to pluralpolicy.com if you're looking to track a bill to see where it's at, either in your state house or in Congress. You can utilize our platform to be able to track a bill. And so, last but not least, if you are a leader looking for a thought partner to help you around your growth strategy, navigating crisis, or understanding government relations, reach out to me.
I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Shantera, for your
Thank you for having me.
time. Thank all of you for watching. Lots of nuggets of gold. Her information will be in the show notes as well. Thank our sponsors, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com, and All Day Cable Inc. at alldaycableinc.com. And again, if you love the show, like the show, please subscribe and share the show with everyone you love and care about. It's about bringing this information so that we can all up level our wellness, wisdom, and wealth. This is the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochel Marie Lawson. And until next time, I'm wishing you peace to your mind, tranquility to your spirit, and wealth to your bank account. Until next time,
Mm-hmm.
all day long. Goodbye for now.